Alright, another change was that the TDS experimental game has since been privated. So anything I talk about in then, I will get banned, so I'm not going to do that. But there was actually an update to that game where you remember the Legacy Survival modes where I played Golden mode in the TDS experimental server, sorry. Then after I made that video, developers actually removed the Legacy Survival modes because I don't think they were intended to be in the Sandbox mode testing server. But they were there, so for a brief period of time you could actually play the Golden Titan and Golden mode as originally intended, or well, as intended as it could have been back in the day, but they have now since been removed. Now, for Lost Souls, yes, it's still quite hard to beat, but people have still beaten it. People said that, oh, there's like one person who beat it yesterday, and then people are like, oh, someone soloed it. No, it was probably one person with 3 other people who had already beaten Lost Souls, who then triumphed it. So it shows that one person got it, while the other 3 people, since they already have the badge, they don't need to get it again. In fact, as of currently right now, 3 people have gotten it. So I assume that's a team of 4, and 1 person already had the badge. However, there is actually an issue with Lost Souls where some of the enemies actually have weird numberings when they spawn in. So, for example, on wave 37, there is actually a minigunner that spawns in Lost Souls when it doesn't spawn in on the regular game. So here, 37, it's really short 37, you would think. So on this way, there's only 1 commander, 1 Mimic Umbria, 1 monkey that's bloated, and 1 Reaper that's bloated. For wave 37, you'd think that's a little underwhelming. That's because the developers have actually made a mistake. So in the Lost Souls, actually, it was discovered that the enemies have spawn amounts of 0.7, meaning that it gets rounded down to 0, preventing it from spawning in the regular game. With Lost Souls, it gets increased to 1.05, which gets rounded down to 1, allowing it to spawn in. So, for something like the Sock Puppet, it has a 0.7 spawn amount in wave 37, so it gets rounded down to 0, so it doesn't spawn in. But in Lost Souls, it gets rounded up to 1, so it does spawn in on wave 37. The Clown, additionally, gets a 0.7, and the Minigunner also has a 0.7 spawning in amount. So, on wave 37, you get more enemies that appear in, even though it doesn't seem like that's the case with the Lost Souls modifier. Now, there are other cases where some enemies have like 1.2 spawn amounts. So I think one of the monkeys has a 1.2 spawn amount. Wave 27, it's 1.2. What Mentin proposes is that one of the developers, or whoever coded the wave structure for Pizza Party, swapped the spawn delay, which is in decimal, so like 0.7 seconds is the spawn delay between enemies, and the spawn amount. So instead of having a spawn amount of 1 and a spawn delay of 0.7, it has a spawn amount of 0.7 and a spawn delay of 1 second. Which is why for some waves, such as wave 37, it is incredibly short, even though you would expect it to be longer, given that wave 36 has more enemies and so does wave 38. I don't know if the developers would fix this, given that they didn't even realize, probably because spawn amount and spawn delay are probably very similar, and with the assumed dyslexia of the developers, I'm not assuming that's not a bad thing. I have dyslexia developers. I'm not trying to take offense to you guys. They couldn't easily identify this issue, and you only can really see it in Lost Souls, again, through like 0.7 amounts of enemies spawning in. Next, I don't know who discovered this, but Menton has told me that the level 1 Cybertruck that spawns in is actually lighter than the level 0 Cybertruck, so it moves slightly faster. Now, this is weird because all other units for the military base, the units aren't actually faster between level 0 and level 1 because it's the same thing. It's the same unit that spawns in. The only thing that's changed is the spawn rate has decreased from 50 seconds to 35 seconds, but for some reason, the Cybertruck has it, so the speed of the Humvee, it's the Cybertruck, is actually faster at level 1. Secret buff? I don't know. Right, so here's a change. On the 27th of November 2024, what people realized from this point onwards was that the bottom path pursuit missiles actually fired a lot slower than intended for some reason. What many people don't realize is that since the 16th of December 2024, this has now been fixed, so the bottom path is no longer bugged. I know this because I've gotten several DMs saying that I should cover this, that the missiles are broken on the bottom path. They're no longer broken on the bottom path. Additionally, with the ice turret, there is a bug where spawning in an ice turret, then selling the tower causes it to stay and deal 0 damage until it naturally despawns. Right, so if you do this, put the ice turret down and then sell the elementalist, yeah, the ice turret remains here. And it will actually attack enemies, but it will do 0 damage to them. So it's not like, you know, you're secretly buffing it. And yeah, it does slow them down, though, I think. It does look like it slows it down. Well, for some time. It doesn't seem to slow down the armor now. Huh, okay. I see. So like it's a glitch, yes, but it's like it's not really that major of a glitch, right? It's not really affecting too much. Now apparently an interesting glitch is that if the warden dies with the molten corpse, it actually still walks when it's corpsed. Right, so let's spam rangers, see what happens with the warden. No, it doesn't. It doesn't walk. What? This was also said for the Frost Hunter that it was able to walk. I can't spell Frost. Jesus. Frost Hunter, but it gets one shot, so I don't know. So it then turns into a corpse and it doesn't move. So people are saying that they've seen this moving with the corpse, but I don't see it moving. Maybe they fixed it, I don't know. With the molten corpse, it was actually seen here with, I think this is the Frost Hunter. They see it walk with the the molten corpse thing here. Apparently, this happens when any enemy uses an ability, stops and then starts walking again. If you kill the enemy in that period of time, it then causes the molten corpse to actually walk. Because I guess they've removed the speed from it, and then after the ability ends, they add the speed back. But then because they add the speed back to an enemy with no speed, aka the molten corpse, it therefore walks. So it's actually not the Warden or the Frost Hunter that itself that's glitched. It's that all enemies that have an ability that stops the enemy from moving, and then you kill it with the Molten Corpse attribute, they then start to move and start to slide on the map and concrete scrape the path as seen here. Now there is a glitch where Sandbox mode doesn't actually play correctly in matchmaking. As you can see here, it says purchase the admin game pass to unlock. This is for if you try and do Sandbox mode through the matchmaking button at the bottom of the UI. So play survival and then Sandbox. If you don't have the admin mode game pass, these are all locked off. However, there's an easy solution to this. Just go to the statue and just do it. However, obviously, you can't find people playing Sandbox mode using this, because if you do it through the statue, unless you're in a party, you're always queued up as a solo person. I mean, to be fair, if you don't have the admin mode game pass, I don't see the point of using admin mode with other people or trying to find it through here, because I think on mobile it shows up the amount of people using Sandbox mode, and I've never seen it exceed more than like 500. Also, they should probably differentiate between squad and squad. This is 4, this is obviously 5, but they should probably differentiate that. I don't know, say Mega 5 and Mega 6 here instead of squad. Finally, apparently they fixed an issue where if you skipped a wave very quickly on, like, say, wave 30 of Fallen mode, or wave near the closer ends of Fallen mode, where you can skip a wave before the wave has actually fully stopped spawning in enemies, then it actually allows you to skip the enemies spawning in towards the back end of the wave. However, this is now being prevented by making it so the enemies are now queued in. So the enemies for the previous wave, so for example, if I skip wave 39, it no longer cancels out the rest of the 39 enemies. It's just that they are now queued in to spawn in before the wave 40 enemies, so I'm not too affected. And as you can see, even though I lost the game, the enemies are still spawning in because of this new change. The wave will continue to spawn in the enemies until the wave has, like, completely stopped. So yeah, you can actually spawn in enemies after you die because of this change. In Sandbox mode, at least. It's a really weird thing. They tried to go after one bug by not having enemies spawn in after you skip the wave, but then they've caused a bug where even if after you die, you can still get enemies spawning in.